took an axe and kill her mother for you wax. When she saw what she had done, she gave up on her falling run.
Welcome to our delayed, but no less exciting, grand finale of our Halloweek Spooktacular.
Yes! I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Like, you literally cannot tell me how excited I am because it's overwhelming.
Because you don't know.
I know. I'm so excited. I'm, like, chomping at the bit to hear this. I know the topic, but I'm like, I don't know.
You're ready.
I don't know.
By now, after listening to an intro that I hope gave you goosebumps, you know
Oh my god, it's been so freaking long.
that you forgot about it.
I forgot about it. Oh, it's gonna be so lit.
You know we're covering the crimes that occurred at the infamous Borden residence. But to top it all off, we're going to cover the haunted happenings that take place there now. We have a lot to unpack with this one, so let's cut to the chase. I'm Kate.
So excited. And I'm Nat.
And this, my friends, is Wading into the Void. Okay, I just want to let y'all know now, if you can hear random scratching behind me, it's not a demon, it's my dog. And
Yay!
I have a feeling we're not going to cut that out of the episode, so
Henley's
that's Henley for everyone.
Gonna be wildin' the whole time.
By now, you've probably seen her on the Instagram, but she just does her thing and lives her life.
Yes. She's a small baby.
Oh, no.
She's not small at all. She's big. She's a small baby at heart.
Yes, she thinks she's a lap dog, but she, in reality, is an 80-pound American black lab who...
Let's go.
thinks she's still puppy size, but she is not. And Nat just sent me a lovely picture, and I kind of like to refer to her as my own personal hellhound, and in the picture she definitely looks like it. So maybe we'll share that along with this episode. Before we hop into our tarot and oracle reading, because yes, we're doing a full reading, I wanted to pose a question.
Oh,
because
okay.
I don't know the answer.
I was actually going to pose a question to you as well.
Oh, okay. So maybe we'll do both.
Okay.
So this is a request for all of you listening to slide into our DMs on
Ooh.
Instagram.
Okay.
At Wading Into the Void. Is Lizzie Borden, the Lizzie Borden case, as infamous in the rest of the U.S. and the world as it is here in New England?
Yeah.
Because where in Nat I are, this case is just like one of the biggest true crime cases there are.
Yeah.
So, tell us what you think. We want to know.
Yeah, I didn't really
the
think
deets.
about that. Yeah, I didn't really think about...
I mean, we all grow up in this area hearing about Lizzie Borden, but like how infamous is she really,
I feel like she's pretty infamous. She kind of went crazy and fucking... Or that we
did
might...
she?
That we might know. Yeah, I was going to say. I know there's some speculation, but we'll get into that, I'm sure.
Oh, we will. So what was your question?
So my question was just a Halloween question, kind of ending our Halloweek, even though this is like 2 weeks after.
It's still
at this
Halloween.
Point.
I mean,
still
like I'm in the
Halloween.
Christmas mindset.
Well, no. What about Thanksgiving? Thanksgiving is still existing in between Halloween and
So-
Christmas.
I'm one of those people that it's like, okay, October 31st, Halloween. And then November 1st to November 23rd, Christmas. 24th, 25th, Thanksgiving. 26th
back
to
to
26th, Christmas. So,
Damn.
like, Thanksgiving gets its moment for me.
Each
But-
month is its own holiday for me.
I can't
I'm
function that way.
Halloween, Thanksgiving, can't wait to see my family from all across the U.S. And then December is Christmas, and I get a month to go fucking Christmas psychotic.
I get 2 because I can't help myself.
Katie, I just ordered my very own first large Christmas tree.
I'm so excited for you.
I'm so fucking excited. And I started doing a whole bunch of shit in my house. It's so crazy. We need to talk about this oracle. I keep looking at it.
First, you have to ask me the question.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm just going crazy over this oracle card. So, what is your biggest fear?
I have 2, and one of them's going to sound very shallow. So,
yeah, I have 2 also, but I don't.
We'll start with the shallow one.
I think mine's.
Let's see if you agree.
Okay.
So, let's preface it by saying I am not afraid of dying, right? Mm-hmm. That's whatever. I literally see dead people. I couldn't give 2 shits.
Yeah.
But I am a little vain in the sense that I don't want to look old. So, like, one of my fears is looking old.
Growing old.
Not necessarily growing old. Like, I like the idea of, living a full life, whatever. I don't want to look like I'm, 80 at the age of 80.
Crazy.
But I've always had a baby face, so I feel like that's kind of,
yeah,
ingrained, Yeah. I can't help it.
I mean, look at my dad. He's turning 50 on December 1st.
Eric doesn't look like he's 50.
He looks like 40
Oh,
still.
sorry. Your dad doesn't look like he's 50.
Mr. whatever. We can't even say my last name here.
I mean, I'm never saying my last name on here unless we become hella famous, but that's it. But,
I already got, death threats, probably. No, I'm just kidding.
I got him when I ran a Tumblr when I was in, middle school.
What the fuck? People are crazy. Just leave me alone.
They really are.
Let me do
my thing. And
it was,
a Walking Dead Game of Thrones fan page. I created, helped co-create one of, the big fandom ships for The Walking Dead. It was Bethel. Yes, I still support Daryl and Beth for those listening that know.
What?
Do you know who Daryl and Beth are?
Yeah, they're so far apart in age.
Once again, age gaps have never bothered me. So, maybe that's where, the thing comes through. But, she was of legal age at the point that I started shipping, and it was prison time, whatever.
Oh, God.
It's not like I was, at the farm.
I mean, she literally died in his arms, right?
Yeah, because they were in love.
Shot her. She got shot in the head. Were they really in love?
She brought out a whole different side to that motherfucker that if they didn't shoot her, something would have come from that. I mean, that scene where they were in, the funeral home, and she was like, what changed your mind? And he got all, blushy and, ducked his head, and he was like, And she's like, bitch, I do! And then the walkers came through.
You do.
The walkers came, and then the stupid fucking hospital people took her. And then Daryl was there to get her back, and he was like, yeah, we finally found Beth. And then Beth had her, moment of fucking badassery and stabbed the bitch. Herschel Green would have been proud. And then this dumb asshole shot her in the head, and then Daryl... No hesitation. Daryl Dixon never uses a pistol, pulls it out of his pocket, and shoots the bitch point blank in the dome, okay? And then he walks out the hospital carrying in his arms, crying. Daryl Dixon does not cry.
True.
And now they've just completely written her off the show. I mean, I haven't been watching, but I've seen clips, right? So,
well, she's dead.
She's dead. But... so is Glenn.
But they talk about Glenn all the time.
They talk about Glenn all the time and the effect that he had on Daryl. and
but
Maggie specifically.
But not Beth. They don't talk
They've
about
completely never brought her up since that moment.
And folks, this is why we need to start a review podcast.
We are so sorry. That was a tangent. But my other fear is heights.
Okay. So I think my fears are very disillusioned.
Okay.
Because I am fucking delusional. But my biggest fears are... I'll start with... So my first one, I swear I'm not ableist, and I'm sure I could be a very normal person even if this were the case and this happened to me. But I am horrified of losing a limb.
Oh, no, you've said that before. And I don't think that's, like, an ableist thing. I think that's a reasonable fear.
Like, I look at people who have lost limbs, and I'm like, that's amazing that you can accomplish, like, great things still, even if, like, you're missing your legs or something like that. But I'm like, I know for a fact that I could not overcome something like that. These people are way stronger than me. Like,
and
I am not a strong person.
And it's for that reasoning that you can tell you're not ableist.
But
no. We don't support any ableist, ageist, sexist,
if it was
racist
like
bullshit.
something that happened during like a surgery or something that happened like that, that's fine. It's like having it in a horrific way, losing your limb and like, you know.
No, that's totally fair.
And then my other one is also very delusional. And that is being a victim to a serial killer.
You have mentioned both of those on the podcast before, I am pretty sure.
I have. But that's because I'm not afraid to discuss my fears because they're so delusional, they probably won't happen. But also, if you're a serial killer and you're listening to this, just leave me the fuck alone. And also go to therapy, first of all. If you think you want to kill people, go to fucking therapy. Yeah, go to therapy. It's amazing. It'll help you tremendously. And don't ruin other people's lives and don't ruin your life. So, PSA, don't become a serial killer even if you want to. What you need is psychiatric help.
And plus, if you are a serial killer, honest to God opinion, listening to this podcast probably isn't the best decision for you. So please tune off right now.
And go get psychiatric help.
No, but I mean, I guess I don't completely think those fears are disillusioned.
Yeah.
Like, I think they're reasonable fears, you know?
I think if I was constantly thinking about them and trying to avoid situations involving that being an outcome, then I would say it's, like, disillusion and completely delusional. But I'm not actively going out of the way to avoid going to a bar because I think I'm going to be drugged and kidnapped.
You're not letting the fear ruin your life.
Yeah.
So
those are just like things that would be really, really traumatizing.
Yes.
In the moment. And
for like, anyone?
In the future, yeah. I just don't want something traumatizing to happen, basically.
I think your fears are much more justified than mine. Like,
what
if
was
you
your
listen,
first one?
Looking fucking old, and then the other one was heights. Like,
no, I think all fear is rational. Usually, yeah.
Let me get into my fear of heights. Just 1 second, right?
Okay.
So, like, it's strange. So, if I'm on, like, let's say, a mountain, like a sturdy bridge, I'm like, whatever, no fear of heights, totally fine. But if I'm on, like, the Ferris wheel or something that I'm like, this shit is totally not engineered properly, then the fear of heights kicks in. So it's kind of a more logical one. But then when it gets into the I'm on a plane territory, the lack of fear of dying kicks in. And I'm like, look, I'm up here this high. If this sucker goes down, I'm not surviving this, so there's no point in even being scared. So, like, it's like a roller coaster of a fear, essentially. But also, other strange point, I love roller coasters.
Yeah.
So, like, maybe I'm just psychotic.
I'm not really afraid of heights. I kind of could care less about heights. The amount of times I've fallen off of a ladder is astonishing for somebody my age. I
love it.
am not afraid of heights. If anything, my body reacts to gravity even quicker. It just fucking flies, man.
I used to physically throw myself down the stairs when I was younger.
For
Because I
fun?
thought it was fun.
Oh, God. I think I did the same, but there was a mattress at the bottom.
Sometimes there was, sometimes there wasn't.
Yeah! Let's go flying and break our legs.
Like, I would literally just, like, stand at the top of the stairs and do a fucking somersault. And my parents were just like, stop it. And I'm like,
Stop! For the love
sorry,
of God.
but no.
All right.
Anyway, Nat, it's time for our reading. Let's find out what we got brewing today, shall we?
Okay, yes. This is going to be a little insane. If anybody kind of follows me personally on Instagram or knows me in real life, the oracle card for today, of course, to round off our Halloweek, we are doing the Halloween Oracle by Stacey DeMarco, and then our tarot deck, of course, is the Horror Tarot deck by Ariag Mitter and Minerva Siegel, illustrated by Abigail Larson.
Pop off.
So, the Oracle card for today, Katie, is kind of insane.
Okay.
It is the Underworld.
No way.
And the
Oh my
picture is
God.
of a skull and a pomegranate, which I
I
just tattooed a
love.
pomegranate on my thigh
You did.
for basically Hades and Persephone and my love for Greek mythology. It's so insane that this is what popped up. So the Underworld says, where all things pause and begin again. Another realm, shadow-filled, travel from death's bed, where we stop and transform within the realm of the dead.
I like that.
Me too. The idea of an underworld, a huge realm that we go to after we die, is a concept that crosses a huge variety of cultures and eras. The Sumerians, the Turkish, the Incas, the Greeks, through to the Siberians, the Maori, and the Khmers. All had a distinct word for the underworld. What is different, though, is how those cultures treat this concept, whether the underworld is seen as a place of rest and rejuvenation or horror and punishment.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because Greek mythology has, like, Elysium, which is kind of like heaven, and Tartarus, which is kind of like hell. And that's all within the same underworld. So,
So it's like two different segments.
yeah, it's kind of like Dante's Inferno, where it has the rings or the layers of hell.
Okay. I kind of love that.
I like that also.
Like, I don't... So, putting it out there really quick, I don't necessarily think there's, like, a heaven, right? Like, a holier place that you shall go. I do, in fact, though, believe that there is a hell of some type. Like, there has to be some place where, like, these evil things come from, right? So, I love the idea of Dante's Inferno.
Yeah, me too.
Where you have just, because I don't think they should all just be like on a level playing field. Like you go down there, like you're, let's just say, because he's in the news a lot now, Jeffrey Dahmer, right? You go down there, but then you have Jose next to you that stole like a freaking candy bar when he was 3.
Yeah, it's like not the same.
You know? So like I love those levels where I'm like, yep, Jeffrey Dahmer totally up to his neck in like an ice cube. He ain't ever moving.
Like he deserves way worse than that.
Yeah, but like, wasn't that the like final circle in Dante's Inferno.
I
Like,
don't
it's
remember.
literally just like your dome sticking out of an ice cube, and you have to
Maybe.
watch everything happen around you.
Maybe that is right, justful punishment. I don't know. But let's continue. The Christian hell is a place of darkness, fire, and punishment. The Egyptian underworld is one of judgment, peace, and renewal. The Maori culture is an in-between place of waiting, wisdom, and transition. Many myths that mention the underworld also involve the concept of a place of waiting and of trials and eventual judgment. It can also be a place of joy and peace. Should the underworld card be present in your reading, you are asked to consider exactly what you have to do to transform your life into something you find easier or more authentic to you. This may involve changing course. It may involve trials and tests. Keep moving. Whilst things fall away and your life may appear bare for a time, this is temporary. Space is being made into which you create the new. Which is interesting because this card is very much for me, I think, personally. Because of everything that I have been considering with my job, my school, my everything right now. I am looking to change.
Like, I was just gonna say, I got, like, major you transition vibes right now. Just knowing what you got going on in your personal life, but...
Yeah, exactly. So, that card kind of shook me a little bit.
Not to mention it was gorgeous.
It was absolutely gorgeous, and I will make sure to actually post on our story to keep the hype up for Halloweek. So yeah, let's go on to our horror tarot.
Let's do it.
And we got the Ace of Wands, which is
The ace. Shit,
the
okay.
ace. So, and it's upright.
Okay.
Which this one is crazy too. So this one is like a giant devil hand holding a candle.
Oh, let me see. I love... And I think that those go hand in hand.
Yeah.
You have the flame, you got the pomegranate, the skull, the devil hand, just that
So,
feeling of darkness.
Listen to this one. The Ace of Wands represents an idea that sparks the start of a new journey.
Oh, shit.
You feel confident that you can see your vision through to the end. You are brilliant and exude confidence. So they do really go hand in hand.
They really do.
They're both speaking of change and journeys.
Yeah.
And I think that's really awesome. And the artwork, it matches and it makes sense together. And this was just a beautiful poll for today.
Yeah. Dare I say it could even mean we're entering a new era of wading into the void.
Honestly, I definitely think so. We have got so many followers recently. Oh, we should say exactly how many we've gained in this.
Before we started Halloweek, we had somewhere, I want to say in the 450s. And now we have 707. And that's in essentially a week's time. If we don't count the 2-week hiatus that we really didn't post anything because I was dying in my bed of COVID. So if you can still hear that voice a little bit, I apologize. But it is what it is. And then listen-wise, I believe we started around 700 and now we're at about 1,010.
Yes.
So,
oh my God. It's so insane. I cannot believe it.
no, I'm really happy about it. Like, I couldn't ask for more. I mean, seeing this much success in the podcast in not even a full year's time.
Yeah, man.
Is crazy to me.
Mm-hmm. It's so crazy. Right. So crazy. We're so close to 1,000 too. Like 300 more people. And then we could get 1,000. And that's like us barely marketing.
Yeah, we've not really done too much.
We marketed
honestly.
a couple of the Halloween stuff.
Yeah,
before
just a few.
We started. And then the photo shoot, really.
Yeah. And that's it.
Basically, and it's kind of insane. We should be marketing more, but it's expensive.
It is, and we'll have a plan next year.
That's true.
Actually putting my job skills to use. All right. Are you ready?
Yes.
This case was interesting to explore because I know I've told you that I am 1 in 1 with Dylan on this in the fact that I love history. And this case is just a whole debacle of old-timey true crime history.
Okay.
So you pull one thing out the hat, you have like 15 things that follow. Like, it just doesn't stop. It is still, to this day, one of the state of Massachusetts' most iconic and puzzling cases, and dare I say, kind of defines how the state functioned as a whole many, many years ago.
Really?
Yes. So if you kind of examine what I'm about to go into, it'll show you how, let's say, like the justice system, how a traditional middle-class family kind of used to live at this time. So it kind of is like a little insight on things before we get to the, grisly murder of it all.
Okay.
I think the best place to start with this case is the very beginning. Actually, before the famous Lizzie Borden was even born. That being said,
Okay.
we're going to travel all the way back to the 1700s. The Borden family has long been an influential name in the town of Fall River, Massachusetts. By 1714, the family was so wealthy that they actually owned just shy of the entire town of Fall River.
Holy shit.
And, at that time, in the, 1700s, holy shit, they owned the whole town. By 1714, the family was... Oh, I just read that. Haha. However, by the time Andrew Jackson Borden was born on September 13th, 1822, the family was living humbly despite their financial means. So, dare I say, they were all a little frugal. Andrew grew up in modest surroundings and worked as a carpenter's apprentice in his young adulthood. Now, keep in mind the carpenter's apprentice role that he started as, okay?
Okay. Carpenter's apprentice.
Specifically, carpentry. He actually helped build the house at 92 2nd Street, which has now changed its address because modern times. But 92 2nd Street is the home where he would live and eventually meet his demise later in life. Before then, though, Andrew became an undertaker, borrowed a loan of $1,000, and entered into a business partnership with a man named William M. Almy. The two men saw immense success and prospered in the manufacturing and selling of furniture and caskets.
Oh, goody.
I don't see where there's crossover there, but to each their own. By the time Andrew was in his 30s, this is now sometime in the 1850s, he moved on to the property development, eventually becoming the president at Union Savings Bank. He wore many hats, to say the least, and also served as the director for multiple textile mills in the area, including the Globe Yarn Mill Company, the Troy Cotton and Woolen Manufacturing Company, the Durfee Safe Deposit and Trust Company, and the First National Bank.
Okay, let me just say something. I am an accountant by trade.
Yes.
The amount of things that he is involved in sounds so sketchy to me.
Keep that in mind.
Okay, there's got to be some type of embezzlement or something going on. He's frugal.
I wouldn't necessarily say embezzlement.
Something sketchy, for sure.
Yes.
I'm getting little warning flares in my auditor brain.
Yes. I mean, if you take into account the authority and power that the Borden name already has over this town, and he is going out and doing all these ventures, yeah, for sure.
Something sketchy, for sure.
Yep. A few years prior to all of his success, Andrew married a woman named Sarah Anthony Morse, or Morsey, on December 25th, 1845. So they had a little Christmas wedding. The pair had...
Okay, that's kind of cute.
Isn't it adorable?
Christmas wedding. Yeah, that is really cute.
The pair had 3 children. 3. Emma Lenora, who was born on March 1st, 1851. Alice Esther on May 3rd, 1856. And of course, Lizzie Borden was born on July 19th, 1860.
So she's really not that much younger. She's like 4 years younger than her sibling.
She is 9 years younger than her oldest sister, Emma.
But the middle child is 4 years, right?
Yes,
56
but
to 90,
unfortunately,
56,
Sarah and Andrew's middle child, Alice, would die in infancy before she was 2 years old.
Oh.
So this means that Alice passed away several years before Lizzie was even born.
Wow.
So she never had that, like, bond with that middle sister, you know?
Yeah, so there's quite a bit of an age difference between her and her sister.
Nearly 10 years.
Wow.
And I'm sure it took a toll on Sarah and Andrew alike.
Yeah.
The loss of a child isn't one you can move on from, you know? No. So you have that weight, and then suddenly you have Lizzie. When 1863 came around, and, you know, Sarah wasn't faring much better. She was ill, still depressed from the loss of Alice, and she just was not doing well. She was also exhausted from taking care of a 2.5-year-old Lizzie. And by March 26th, Sarah couldn't hold on any longer and passed away.
Oh, what?
Yes, so Lizzie lost her mother at just over 2 years old.
So, that's her stepmother?
That's her mother.
No, I know, but the other person in the future.
Is her stepmother, yes.
Oh, I didn't even know that. That's so interesting.
So, you know, Sarah couldn't hold on any longer, but she didn't pass on before speaking to her eldest daughter, Emma. So at this time, Emma was around 13, let's say. Emma promised her mother that she would always watch over Lizzie, no matter what.
Uh-huh.
Essentially taking on that, like, mothering role herself at this period in time.
Uh-huh.
After 2 years of grieving the loss of his wife, though, Andrew remarried to a woman by the name of Abigail Durfee Gray.
He really waited some time. Fucking 2 years, man? What?
But why does 2 years haunt this family?
2 years specifically?
Lost the daughter 2 years before Lizzie was born. Lizzie's 2 years old. Her mother passes away. 2 years later, Andrew Borden remarries.
Whoa. So this is in the span of like 6 years? Like 2 and then 2 and then 2?
Boom, boom, boom.
Holy shit.
Their ceremony, you know, less Christmassy, holiday vibey, took place on June 6th, so literally the complete opposite you could get, in 1865. And despite being together, like, by the end, for 27 years, they never had any children of their own.
Maybe she wasn't barren? Or maybe she was barren, I mean.
By the time the pair married, Abby was 37, and Andrew was in his 40s. So, if they attempted to have children, biologically, it would have been difficult for the two of them to conceive. Her, like, fertile clock had kind of pretty much run its course.
Yeah.
So, it's, you know, understandable by then.
Mm-hmm.
It was well known that despite the Borden family being quite wealthy, Andrew Borden preferred to live very frugally. The majority of their family, by this I mean cousins, aunts, uncles, anyone else you want to consider big family members, lived in a neighborhood nicknamed The Hill. This neighborhood was much more fashionable and is where the wealthy elite lived at this time. So you could literally make the case that they looked down upon those that didn't have the same funds as them. They lived on the hill.
Quite literally looked down.
Literally.
But also looked down.
Andrew also refused to upgrade his home, not seeing the point in spending his money on installing indoor plumbing or electricity, which was some groundbreaking technology at this time. Instead, he chose to continue using bedpans, outhouses, and oil lamps.
What?
Yep. Just to save a dime. And there are even records that Andrew sold eggs from the family's farm at the market on Main Street for a few extra dollars.
Oh, what?
Why? I don't know. Like, there's nothing wrong, with living well within your means. But this man just either did not want to recognize the money he had, or, whatever. Surprisingly, he chose to employ a couple of servants to help maintain his home and help with chores and upkeep. So, installing a shitter? Nah.
No.
Hiring someone to, continue to do that work for a long-ass time?
Yep.
Much more reasonable expense.
Let's go. That's what he's saying, not me.
That just sounds like, and like we said, we're not ageist, but that sounds like some old age bullshit of not wanting to try new technology.
True. Oh my gosh, yes.
Andrew's frugality resulted in a decent amount of friction within the home. Usually with his youngest daughter, Lizzie, who was well known to kind of be the favorite. And Andrew spoiled her more than her sister, Emma. But this, could be that whole loss of a child, kind of attaching yourself to something after that period of time.
Because, they were pretty close in age.
2 years.
From what?
Well, it would have been 4 years.
Yeah, it would have been 4 years, but yeah.
Lizzie herself thought that she should be living a much more lavish life, like her family on the hill. And just, did not love the idea that her father was just like, nope, we're not doing it, we're pinching some pennies. Even from a young age, Lizzie tried to distance herself from her father's penny pinching, and often spent her time at the church her family attended on the hill. So, Andrew didn't want to spend the money to live in the hill, but he still wanted to be associated with the people on the hill. Recognized that he had the money to be there, but was choosing not to. The Borden family was a very religious household and frequented the Central Congregational Church. And Lizzie herself was very involved in the church's, extracurricular activities and even taught Sunday school classes. So, she was doing the damn thing. Throughout the years, people began to take note of the rift between the Borden daughters and their stepmother. So this is Lizzie and Emma. They strictly referred to her as Mrs. Borden, never calling Abby their mother, or referring to her as Abby like their father did.
Weird.
They refused to take meals with her and their father. And, just did not want to give this woman the time of day.
I wonder why.
Well, it's partially because Andrew's wealth kept growing steadily. And he continued to be prosperous. And the girls worried that, Abby's family was after their father's money. As they got older, the girls tried to remedy this by helping their father manage his rental properties. which, you know, at this time for women wasn't typical.
Mm-hmm.
But Andrew did allow them to help. Despite their difference in age and their lifestyles, Emma being 10 years older than her younger sister and being described as prim, confident, reliable, and a homebody, while Lizzie was more active and outgoing, the two sisters remained close, most likely due to the promise Emma made to her mother. Lizzie was always considered beautiful in her town of Fall River and had a long list of suitors and escorts. You know, she'd go into these events around town. She had a bunch of people. She's like, oh, I want Jimmy to bring me to Taylor's house tonight, and I want Roger to bring me to Suzanne's tomorrow. You know, like, she could pick and choose.
Damn,
she was playing
Lizzie.
the game. However, most of these suitors did not come from the Hill neighborhood that she hoped to become a part of. So Lizzie was trying her hardest to find any way to get into that neighborhood. After all, even though they were considered wealthy and attended church in the neighborhood, they were still considered outcasts. This is because of Andrew's frugalness and a somewhat shady reputation that he tried to conceal.
Uh-huh.
It was well known that Andrew was considered a dirty businessman in the town of Fall River.
I knew it. My radar never lies.
Whether he was embezzling, I don't know if he was, or strictly just, like, playing more the con man and trying to find some type of way to not necessarily steal the money from clients, but, you know, sign that fine line, you know. You don't need to read what it says. I told everything.
Yeah.
The people in the Hill grouped the Borden family in socially with the middle class. So, like, they were like, nah. They're like, you got money, but you're not one of us. On the rare chance that Lizzie showed interest in a suitor outside of her Hill aspiration, Andrew Borden immediately rejected them as fortune hunters. It seemed that he wanted nothing more for his daughters than for them to become spinsters. And by this time, they were well on their way there.
Why?
He didn't want anyone just getting with them to steal his fortune. For Andrew, money always came first.
That's so fucked up.
Isn't it? As this rejection continued on Andrew's behalf, a rift began to grow between not only him and Lizzie, but between Emma as well. The breaking point took place when Andrew gifted Abby and her sister real estate, something he had yet to do to his own daughters. On top of that, Abby was set to inherit everything from him upon his passing.
What?
His daughters would get nothing.
What? After they managed his fucking properties for him? What? Yep. That's actually fucking insane. What a piece of shit. I don't know if he expected,
like, Abby to continue to take care of them and didn't trust the two girls to be in charge of their own finances, but they were set to inherit absolutely nothing.
That's
not
ass.
A penny.
That's so shit.
This resulted in Emma and Lizzie demanding that their father give them a grand piece of real estate as well. You know, just something. So they could have, you know, maybe a way to earn a living. Andrew gave them something sentimental in hopes that they would appreciate it and take good care of it. The home that they lived in and grew up in until their mother passed away. So essentially their childhood home, he gifted to them, hoping that they were, like, clinging to that idea of their mother.
That's kind of decent.
It's sweet. A little bit, you know? Like, it had some feeling behind it. Despite his hopes, Emma and Lizzie sold the house back to him just mere weeks later for $5,000.
What?
They did not have the capability of running it themselves.
They said, here you go.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, no, I'm not into this, and I would like you to take it back, please.
Damn.
Thank you. Not only the fact that you gifted this to me, but now pay me $5,000 to take it back yourself. They didn't simply return it to him. They were like, nah, money. No. So, like, the idea of cash just, like, surrounded the Borden family.
Yeah, they're all obsessed with money.
Yes. The downward spiral began there and continued with one more notable instance that predated the infamous double murder of Abby and Andrew Borden. In May 1892, Andrew Borden found pigeons roosting in the barn and killed them with a shotgun.
Why?
Because they were disturbing his barn.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, it is well reported that, like, it's misthought that he killed them with a hatchet. He did not. He killed them with, like, a shotgun.
Oh, shit.
Little did he know, Lizzie had recently built a nest for the birds.
No. No, I would
She
be
was
so
literally
sad.
mother henning them. She was mother henning them.
Oh, no. Oh.
Understandably, she was very upset.
I
And
would be
arguments
too.
between the members of the family continued well into July that same year. This led both Emma and Lizzie to taking an extended vacation to New Bedford, Massachusetts.
Okay.
They were out for a hot minute. They were like, nah, I can't do it no more. You need to let me go.
Yeah.
And eventually the pair returned to Fall River a week before the murders took place.
Oh.
However, Lizzie chose not to go straight home as Emma did. Instead, she stayed at a local rooming house for 4 days before making her way back home. So Lizzie was only home like 3 days before the murders took place.
Damn.
In the
After a
days-
huge fight over something
After
like
a
that.
huge fight, it gets worse. In the days leading up to the murders, the whole house seemed to be suffering and fell violently ill.
Oh?
As a result, Abby called Dr. Seabury Bowen on August 3rd. He arrived quickly after she mentioned she feared they were being poisoned.
That's really weird. I'm
The
getting
doctor-
Rasputin vibes.
Yes. The doctor wrote her off immediately and said it was probably the cause of bad food. How could
What?
you, thou
What?
woman, know what poison looks like? He
Yeah,
offered to
what?
look at the remaining family to try and, you know, see if what he was saying was true. But Andrew became angry and accused Abby of wasting his money on a doctor and ordered the man to leave.
This guy. This guy's so fucking annoying.
So that same evening, we have a new character introduced to the mix.
Oh, okay. A new character. Huh.
Yes. That evening, John Morse, or Morsey, Emma and Lizzie's uncle, through their mother, showed up unannounced.
Oh?
Prior to the last few years, he had been absent in the life of his nieces. But a few years prior to the murder, he showed up to, quote-unquote, visit. In reality, he was there to discuss business matters with Andrew. It's speculated that arguments arose steadily throughout this visit, and John Morse retreated to bed early as he was staying in an upstairs bedroom.
So he was staying there?
Yes, but he arrived unannounced. He was just like, surprise,
Yeah.
I'm here. Hope you have a
Yeah,
bedroom
so
for me tonight.
they had literally no planning whatsoever. He just showed up and now he's staying at their house.
Yes.
Okay.
On the following morning of August 4th, 1892, the bodies of Andrew and Abby Borden were found brutally murdered.
Okay. This is kind of crazy. This is so much more information than I originally ever knew about this case. This is like Jean-Benet Ramsey.
Yeah, it just keeps unfolding the more
Yeah.
research you do.
This is crazy.
Lizzie stumbled upon the still warm body of her father, who had been bludgeoned to death while he was sleeping on the
Oh
sofa
my
in the
God.
sitting room. So Andrew was still warm. Like,
Yeah, that's fucked.
the killer could have been in the house when Lizzie had been there. You know, if we're saying Lizzie isn't the killer.
Like, this is very similar to how JonBenet Ramsey's case went.
This
That's
is the
kinda crazy.
1800s version of JonBenet Ramsey.
That's so crazy.
Andrew's face was unrecognizable, and blood was spattered everywhere. Lizzie screamed in horror for Bridget Sullivan, the family maid, who immediately ran to fetch Dr. Bowen and a nearby neighbor named Adelaide Churchill. I'm not quite sure what Adelaide had to do with any of it. I think she might have just been scared and was like, they're dead! You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Abby Borden was found shortly after, her body face down and cold in an upstairs guest bedroom.
Okay, so she was killed before him?
Yes.
Like, way before.
Yes.
Weird.
Yep. So Bridget and Adelaide found Abby Borden, and just like Andrew, Abby's death appeared to be caused by someone wielding a small, sharp hatchet or an axe.
Uh-huh.
When the police arrived to the Borden residence, they began searching for evidence and a murder weapon. They found no sign of an intruder. None. But they did find 2 hatchets, 2 axes, and a broken hatchet and handle in the basement of the Borden home.
That's a lot of fucking hatchets and axes.
Isn't it?
Now, how many of them were used, or were none of them?
The broken hatchet was instantly suspected as being the murder weapon since the break appeared to be fresh.
How can you tell if it's been freshly broken?
The wood's more pliable.
Okay.
So, like, the splinters are more easily folded instead of, like, hardened by the air.
Oh, true,
I believe.
true. Yeah, yeah, because
Because
then
they
it would
still
be
have
dry.
some moisture.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Shockingly, they found no blood anywhere in the home except on the bodies and close surroundings on the murder scene.
Damn.
Here comes Henley.
Henley. That's a good dog right there. She looks kind of chunky.
She is a little chunky. Like most cases at this time, the crime scene was quickly contaminated by journalists, curious neighbors, and nosy people trampling through the crime scene. I mean, what was forensic evidence, am I right?
Oh,
The family was also given the go-ahead to clean the house.
What?
Yep. No one checked Lizzie or the maid Bridget for bloodstains, and only did a cursory inspection of their rooms.
Oh.
Yep, they were just like, no.
What?
After further examination, it was determined that Abby, now 64 years old, was attacked first. The coroner estimating that the attack took place somewhere between 9 and 10:30 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
Abby is said to have weighed around 200 pounds and was short in stature. She was struck in the head around 18 times. The initial
Holy
attack
shit.
taking place face to face. The first blow was delivered to the side of her head, which caused her to turn and fall face down on the floor. After 17 more blows, the killer made their way downstairs and found the sleeping body of Andrew Borden. At 70 years old, Andrew was tall and thin. It said he grew to be more ornery and rude in his old age. The coroner determined that the killer struck Andrew sometime between 10:30 and 11:10 a.m. Despite the nursery rhyme, Andrew Borden was said to have been struck in the face a total of 10 times. So nowhere near these 40 whacks that traditional nursery rhyme claims, right?
That's, like, so over-exaggerated.
Yes, as most things typically are. Despite a serious lack of effort, the authorities soon came to the conclusion that the murders had to have been committed by someone within the Borden home. And considering...
yeah, that makes sense.
Yes, but they put zero effort into finding anything.
Yeah, they're pretty fucking stupid.
Yes. And, you know, considering Emma was more than 15 miles away visiting a friend in Fairhaven, the only people left to consider were Bridget the maid, Uncle John Morris, and of course Lizzie Borden herself.
Yeah.
The newspapers were running wild with the story, and varying accounts of the entire affair were quickly spread across the county. And the country, the story becoming national news.
Damn.
Neighbors and strangers alike began to speculate on the crime, even as the investigation progressed. Before examining any suspects, the authors had to reconstruct the events before the murders took place. They concluded that shortly after breakfast, Andrew Borden and John Morse spoke in the sitting area for nearly an hour. John Morse took his leave around 8:45 that morning, but Andrew followed him out of the house about 15 minutes later at 9 o'clock to take a walk. While this was taking place, Bridget, the maid, was washing windows, Abby Borden was cleaning the guest room where John had been staying, and Lizzie was ironing in the dining room. So it honestly feels like a game of Clue, how they're reconstructing this.
Yeah.
Around an hour and a half later, Andrew Borden returned home just 40 minutes before Lizzie found his battered body at 11:10. The police set their sights on Lizzie and refused to consider any other suspects, arresting her on August 11th.
Okay, so why not John, who showed up fucking randomly and basically forced himself into their house?
We'll get into it later.
Okay.
She was represented by her family lawyer, Andrew Jennings, because of course they had a family lawyer, because Andrew Borden himself was a shady businessman. Mm-hmm. And that lawyer quickly entered a plea of not guilty. She was transported to the Taunton, Massachusetts jail just 8 miles north of the town of Fall River, where she had to wait 14 days for her trial to begin. So by this time, Lizzie is a prison-hardened criminal, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, she was ruling that roost. Just kidding. The trial took place from August 25th through September 1st, 1892. And a couple of months later, the grand jury heard the evidence between November 7th and 21st. So Lizzie actually was in prison for a decent amount of time.
Yeah, like a few months.
As this trial is going on. So
wow.
Lizzie was indicted for murder on December 2nd, 1892. So
Damn.
The judge overseeing this was like, yeah, I think you're guilty, so you're going to jail. Lizzie was held.
What
once
evidence
again,
did they even have?
We're going to get there.
Oh, okay.
Lizzie was held in the Taunton jail until her trial in New Bedford began on June 5th, 1893. So Lizzie was in jail for around a year before she had her trial.
Holy shit.
She was a media sensation and a national celebrity for all the wrong reasons well before her trial even began. And everyone had an opinion and a story that they thought would influence the outcome of the infamous trial. The investigation, trial, and inquest unearthed a variety of suspicious happenings where Lizzie was concerned. But I'm not going into it quite yet. Despite the trial, Lizzie's attorney put all of his focus into presenting Lizzie and Andrew's close relationship, how involved she was with the church, as well as her numerous charity and volunteer efforts. The prosecution took a different stance and stressed the violence of the crimes and Lizzie's strong dislike for her stepmother. Emma sided with her sister, whether she thought she was innocent or because she promised her mother so many years ago. We'll never know Emma's reasoning. Emma did testify in her sister's defense, though. But Lizzie herself never took the stand.
Really?
Never took it. On the final day of the trial, June 20th, 1893, the jury stepped out to deliberate. After only 90 minutes, they came back with their decision and declared Lizzie was to be acquitted of all charges due to the lack of forensic evidence linking her to the crime.
See, that's what I'm saying. They had no fucking evidence. What? The first fucking guy just was like, yup.
Uh-huh, exactly.
What?
This just proves that without forensic evidence, hearsay, witness accounts, and conspiracy will never be enough to settle or justify a conviction.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether Lizzie Borden committed the murders of her father and stepmother, we may never know. But for now, this case still remains unsolved.
True.
Since
It's so
that
scary.
day,
That's
I
so
know.
scary.
Since that day, Lizzie Borden was released in 1893. U.S. citizens, true crime investigators, and, just general true crime and, obscure fanatics have had more than 1 million hours to contemplate the cause, the conspirators, and the killer of Andrew and Abby Borden. And who would I be if I didn't explore each and every important theory?
Oh my god.
But it's not something I'm going to do today. We promised you a show-stopping, jaw-dropping, and goosebump-inducing finality of our Halloween spooktacular. And I hope you can forgive me for tricking you into thinking you'd get it today. But hopefully you'll appreciate the treat you're going to get, next week when I get into part 2. The best theories this Kate has to offer, and I'm not stopping there. I'm also going to be sharing with you some of the best haunting stories from the Borden residence on 92 2nd Street.
That's so exciting.
Right?
I'm so excited. I'm so ready. This is going to be such a good, two-parter.
With that being said, share your thoughts on the infamous case of Lizzie Borden with us in our Discord server and on our social media accounts.
Yes. Please join our Discord. We have so many great memes coming up recently with Ben and also Katie. And I attempted one. It was very bad, though. But yes, we have such a lovely group of people in our Discord. And if you would love to join us, we would love to have you.
Yes. And that being said, you can also find us on Instagram and TikTok at
Wading Into the Void.
And on Twitter at
Wade Into the Void.
And hey, maybe you've visited the Lizzie Borden house and have your own story to share.
Ooh.
You can send that to us and maybe even have it featured on one of our listener stories by emailing us at
wadingintothevoid@gmail.com. I am compiling a huge listener episode story. Please, if you have a story, send it to us and I will feature you, whether anonymously or with your name, whatever you want. We will either keep you protected or we'll give you that clout that you want. But yeah, please send us some stories.
Do it. And Nat, while you're at it, why don't you tell anyone who might want to contribute to this podcast how they could support us?
So we have 2 different options for support. Of course, we have our Patreon that we don't do anything with, even though we should. But
yes, we should.
I'm assuming it's going to be part of our next year marketing plan.
Yes.
So just look forward to that for next year when we have some more free time. And
we kind of just dove head first in this year and didn't.
Yeah, we dove head first. We dove head first for sure. But if you want to contribute now without us having to do anything to pay you back, we have the ability to donate on Anchor. And the link to the Anchor donation is also on our Spotify.
Yes.
So Anchor and Spotify show you ways to donate some money to us. And no matter what the amount is, we are so grateful for it. We don't expect anybody to give us money ever. No. So any amount goes directly towards the podcast. And that means equipment, marketing tools,
Yes.
decorations if we ever create the pod lab.
Yes.
Everything. Anything
or
that could
promotional
possibly
photo shoots.
Yeah,
Anything.
exactly. So, yes.
But that's up to you. Don't feel obligated.
Yeah, don't feel obligated. If you want to contribute to us but don't want to contribute money, pass along our information to somebody who would maybe want to do that or who would want to follow us on social media.
Spread the word. Get people to listen.
Yeah, exactly.
With that, it's time to wrap up part 1 of our Lizzie Borden case. Until our next episode, Phantom Fam, put down the axe, eat all the leftover Halloween candy you want, and prepare yourself for part 2, because it's going to get spicy and spooky.
Ooh, spicy.
Adios, and hablamos pronto.
What? Bye.